Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Himanshu Dave, Senior Vice President, Corporate Business Strategy and Development for Biosimilars, Preventive Healthcare and Molecular Diagnostic Business at Avasthagin Limited. Sir carries a deep insight of pharmaceutical industry with experience of over 21 years at various leadership positions. He has worked in the space of biosimilars for more than 8 years. He is an expert on sales force effectiveness, logistics solutions, and developing market access strategies. He is a member of Indian Pharmaceutical Association. In past, Sir has been a member of Marketing Committee at Organization of Pharmaceutical Products of India and JPMA India. Sir's professional qualifications include participation at the General Management Program at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Masters of Marketing Management, and a Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Sciences from Mumbai. Sir has been an invited speaker at various international and national management conferences. In past, he has worked at senior level management position for Astellas Pharma India Private Limited, Wockhardt Private Limited, and Zydus Limited. Sir, I request you to please come on the podium and enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. It's the first time as a marketing guy, I'm talking to the students of HRD. And it's wonderful to see you all over here. The content what I've been talking about after listening to what Praveen spoke about, it's difficult to replicate his motivational films, but I would talk about is as a student, when you are entering into the field of pharma, or there's lots of field where people would have said what the scope is, and I wouldn't speak about scope anyway. I would speak about is what should be your mindset, how the things work, what type of talents people currently are looking at, what type of talents individually of talent profile when you enter, when you are in the middle management, and when you are at the senior management, how the profile changes. It's more important because, you know, we have been talking, I have been talking in last 10 years at various forums, at various CEO forums saying about is talent management. And it's been always seen about as we talk top bottom. It's only the CEO and the top management who talks about retaining the talent, and I would say is it's not the thing which is going to work. I think it's all across. Everyone who is talented themselves needs to know about is how to nurture a talent, how to work together, and build up his own space or her own space, as well as build up an organization which is talent rich. I was talking to Dr. Singh on just a very brief about how the talent looks like globally and for India, and well, he said is talents are gonna be a real critical factor. It's gonna be going down day by day, and it's a very bold statement to hear in from a senior guy like him. But yeah, it's true that we are at a place where multitasking is the order of the day, and the people who becomes the best about multitasking, these are the people, these are the talents where people would look at, would bang on, saying about is yes, these are the people we want to build up our organization. Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about. I would speak more, say around 35 minutes on this subject. I wouldn't like to make it very extensively heavy subject. It's more on the marketing and a little bit on the fundamentals, and more in terms of the research-driven content, which says about is what you expect and what you should expect when you are growing up and when you're going in the industry. this is how the overall change has happened across. If you're saying about in 1980, when you're saying about the talent, 1980 people used to say about is what does an employee cost to an organization. That was the thought process which came in 2000. 1980, 1990, 10 years from there, a decade from there, people say about is what is an employee worth to an organization. So you're talking of the greatest assets which an organization takes from the talent. And when you say about 10 years, a decade from there, and now onwards, people talk about is most important investor. You're talking about talent. What an organization today, an organization like us, or organizations like the big organizations which are globally present, they would say about is what an organization brings to an employee. I think that the entire perception is now changing about is, can we actually build up something, an ecosystem where we can retain people, and at the same time, people start getting, or maybe you can say is they become a family member of the organization. I have seen about an organization, my previous organization, just to little divert from what I'm talking about is, I was working with a Japanese organization, and I was surprised when I joined them. The training program for the recruits, the training program took 1 year. 1 year of, that's the way people are thinking, that's the way people are. And I do ask about, I said, why do you spend so much of time? Initially I said, we in India, we don't spend so much of time on training. They said, no, by the time they come out, they're as good as our family members. They don't even think anything else. And that's the culture they built up. When you say about the overall, what would an organization gain when you're talking of a talent? And you see about, if you see about here, the overall 1/3, when you're saying about the 1/3 of the top performer, you can see about is what is the average profit these people generate for an organization. If you break up this into the various functions which today contribute to the overall profitability, of course the highest profitability would still come in the area of sales. And if you say there is almost 67, right, if I'm not mistaken, yes, 67% increase in revenue when you are retaining talent. More important, if you are saying about is the overall overall people who are leaving, or when you are saying about the attrition, there is a significant difference between the normal people and the talented people. There is a very low attrition rate which is seen about when you are talking about the talent. Well, for the students now, why I'm saying all this? This is when you're saying about is, you will say is, this is meant for the management. Why are you talking to me? I would say about is, well, when you are talking about going in the industry, you are our future talent. And you are the people who are gonna, next 10 years, you are the people who are gonna change the perception, the way the overall industry is gonna look at how to build up the talent pool. When I'm saying about this attrition, though it looks like less than 15% of attrition, where the industry attrition is in India, at least I'm talking about it, India is around 30%, but this 10 to 12% or 14% of attrition is a huge impact in terms of actually the profitability, or in terms of the need of the talented people. The other side of the story, when I'm saying about for you is, it's a huge opportunity. You don't need to, I was listening to the previous communication, I mean the presentation, and there were 5 tips he gave about. I said is, well, these are good tips, but believe me, if you are talented, there is not a single industry which does not offer opportunity. In India, opportunities are immense. Globally, opportunities are just immense, irrespective of how the times are changing, how the financial downfalls are happening, doesn't matter. what you need to understand is how you can build up your expertise where you can grow up on the industry. The global, this is a survey which was done about 37,000 employers in 27 countries, and what was said about is, what is the shortage of talent? And they said about is the top 5 job employers are having difficulty in filling up across 27 countries. The top of the order was the sales job. And when you say about, the impact on the organization, 67% of improvement happens when you are retaining a salespeople. There are skilled manual trade workers, technical engineers, and accounting. But, these are the 5 top areas. Globally, if you're saying about US, Japan, these are the organized markets. Overall, if you're saying for the population pool, as the time passes, when you're talking about 2050 onwards, overall the population, working population, talented population is going to go down, which means that the talent is going to not reduce across these countries. These are the talents, you're going to fill it up. These are the countries where you are increasing the number of talented people, number of population who will be working, or the working population over in India, Argentina, Brazil is always on a high. And these are the people who are going to grow all across the global markets where they would still be in demand. These are some data which says about is which countries will be the least affected, and for sure China, India, Netherlands and Ireland are the most safest one, where Netherlands and Ireland is more because of its overall demand, but China and India is more specifically for the population. The top challenges which as a leader we take in, the biggest challenges is acquiring and developing the right talents, improving the customer relationship and brand recognition. When you are saying about the talent, the CEO looks at, these are pointed questions which were put on to the CEO, and they say is there is a limited supply of candidates with the right skills. There are challenges in the recruitment and integrating the younger employees, providing attractive career path for our industry, competitors recruitment at some of your best people. Well, these are concerns which have been raised by the CEO. Now let's go to the real thing which I want to now drive it forward, is why are we talking about talent? And this was a survey. I will only talk about the large global studies which have been done in the area of talent retention, in the area of building up talents and retention. This was a parent global worker study which was done in 2005, and then it was repeated. It continued till 2007. And what came out over here is, 62% of the people are moderately engaged. Out of the entire pool, 62% are moderately engaged. This was a study which was, as I said, it was a very large study. 90,000 employees were into the study. There were 18 countries which were studied, and it moved across all age group, it moved across all job profiles, it moved across various industries, and it moved at various industries of different strengths. And what it said about is why you are talking about this disengaged, 62% disengaged people. Now come to where you are entering at. This is the place we are talking of. I'm talking of 3 slides now, which would be important when you are now taking in, when you are considering yourself in this place. Just consider at what stage you are and how you are looking at these scenarios, and does it really appeal you in terms of is it right or is it wrong, is it happening, that this is why, maybe people don't consider, well, this is a good company or this is a bad company. But, well, all companies are good. It's only the needs and the benefits what you are ensuring or expecting is different. So when you are saying about is, at the time of joining, there, at the time of people who come for an interview, there are 10 different points which has been mentioned here, and there are priorities which are been mentioned about. So this is the place where all of you are going to be there. And when you're talking of the early entry, what are the expectations for a person to choose a job? I would say about is the top priority, if you're saying about, is career advancement opportunity. The first thing, all of you, when you come to us as a new person to get an employment, first concern, directly or indirectly, you raise about is, what type of opportunity would you offer us? The second most important thing for the person who is joining early is everyone works for a package, and everyone talks about is what's my competitive package. Are we going to get a package which is similar to the industry, better than industry, or is it that the package is less? Over a time, the third priority also says about is, am I going to learn out of this? Next 5 years, am I be industry friendly, ready for going up the ladder? These are the top priorities. But what's important about it, why I'm saying this is, this is the time where you will choose a company, or you may go into an HR area, choosing this particular priorities of yours. You should also understand is there are lots of other people who have a different priorities why they will come in. So when you are saying about at the age of, when you are already experienced, when you're saying about 5 years from your experience, suddenly if you see there is a switch of priority, you move your priorities differently. Moment you are more experienced, your first priority starts getting into, am I getting competitive pay? And then you're saying about the second priority switches from competitive pay as a second, goes over here, it becomes the second priority is career advancement, because you already chosen a career. And what's more important is, as the age passes, the priority, the first two priorities diffuses. If you say about an old people like me, well, they would always say about is, the first priority for me is always, competitive pay if it's a start when I'm joining an organization. Now, I'll take you to, this is an interview stage where we are talking about when you're choosing or when you're joining an organization. Let me go to the next slide where you're talking about is you're already working in an organization. How the perception changes, how the things changes, and how the mind changes for each of us at different levels, at different age group, at different age where we are placed. So when you're saying about when you're already employed at an organization, if you are at the age of 16 to 24, that's the first job you are taking about. The first priority, of course, is organization develops leader at all level is becoming your priority. You are saying is, am I being considered as a future leader later on? Am I joining a company where I would have a scope of growing up forward? The second priority is, of course, is organizations quickly resolves customer concerns. This is more important because as it's a first job for me, I would always expect that someone helps me out to solve my problems so that my customers become my loyal customers. I don't want people to say that you take your own problems and solve them. I want someone to help me, handhold me, so that I grow up forward. As the time passes, when you are getting experience and when you become a little senior people in the HR, you will see about is, the priority which was not there at all becomes your first priority. excellent career advancement opportunity becomes your first priority after 5 years of joining a job. Now, why I'm saying this is, when you become a manager in HR and there is a candidate who is coming at the early stage, an entry stage like you always will feel as these are his priorities, which will retain him. But I'm saying is, at a stage later, that doesn't work in. You have to change gears and you have to change his needs and as per his needs and demands. So as the age passes, and when you say about an age of a matured middle-level management who is working in an organization, his needs are absolutely different than a person who is at the early stage. If you say about at the age of 35 to 44, where the middle management level people are working, or even currently, if today's scenario, at 35 to 44, you surely get is a top management also. The people are progressing quite well. His first priority would be senior management sincerely interested in employee well-being. So we are talking of area of comfort will be his first important area which he will focus on. And most of us, what we do about, and when we talk about a project, when you are going to work in a project for any of the institute, you will always say about is, there is only one particular thing which works for all. I would say is nothing works as a CAN model. Every model has its factors to be incorporated. When you are saying about a factor, you have to also factor is what are the novices of the age factor. Is the age factor going to affect the choice of retention? More important for the top management as well as for the HR guys is, we talk about attrition and we talk about talents. I say is, the talents themselves are the biggest concern for attrition for top management. Because the talents don't nurture each other. Talents always say that I'm the best. And they always believe in an ecosystem which is friendly for them. No talent says about us, my subordinate is as good as me. And both of us can create a wonder organization. Unless he is an HR person. If a talent is an HR department, well, the thought process change is absolutely different. They talk about his retention. They talk about newer talents to be brought in. The talents which are older and who are there in the organization, how can we change? But in sales, in any of the other fields, people will always say talents are the biggest concern. And you as people from HR, when you're going in the field of HR, you should remember is what needs would change the company. How would a talent be retained? How would a talent be, each talent reduce the friction between each other? They work as a team, and at the same time, you also change your, you also relate to your needs with the other person's need and understand that this person, why he is talking in that term when you are talking in different terms. I always been seen about his young talent saying about it, well, you are getting old, man. This is a very old thought of practice. The new thought of practice is this is how it has to be done. I understand. At your age, you think that's the first thing which is important. But if you see these are 90,000 employees. I'm not talking about something which is out of my head. I'm talking something about which is studied over years and which is talking about why you are, you have to be sensitive in terms of understanding what the senior guy or the junior guy at a stage, and 10 years from now, you would be a senior guy. So a junior guy would speak and would correlate. The last slide on this front is when a person starts leaving. When a headhunter talks to a person like you, and they'll say, "Are you looking at a change? There is a beautiful job available." Doesn't they speak very, very nice. Sometimes I also feel tempted. But what I'm saying is, when a headhunter talks to you, or when a headhunter talks to any of these talent, what would change the mind of a talented person not to leave the organization? And this is where the crux is. If you can bring on that ecosystem in an organization, you will have least of attrition. Your job is not about, I'm not talking about, what our future for you, but I'm saying is, you already have a future in HR, if you are a marketing guy, doing your majors in marketing, you have a sales team who's going to be there with you. And your role is not to be a manager, you have to be a leader. You have to grow as a leader as fast as possible. And if you see about, at different age group, if you, again, the same thing when you are saying about is why a person would say that I'm not interested in changing. Young people like you, they would not change if they have an excellent career advancement opportunities available in an organization. That again correlates with the previous slide saying about is if the opportunities are good, if you're choosing, if you're saying, if you are taking these 5 points from what Praveen told you, well, if you have chosen the right organization, very systematically you are analyzing, you would not leave this organization. Second, most important is work environment where new ideas are encouraged. You would always feel is, are you considered, your thoughts are considered to be at least valuable. And third, of course, is satisfaction with organizations, business decisions, or philosophies. And the same thing, if you're saying at the age group of, at the age of top management, the first priority is organization's reputation as a great place to work in. I know a guy who's, this is a real case. A friend of mine in US, he was working for a reasonably good organization, very good organization, at a very senior level. He changed to another organization, which was new, but had a very good future. And he joined there. Believe me, after some time, his son comes home and tells, Dad, where are you working in? He says, you know it. He says, no one knows it. Where are you working in? This company, no one knows it. And this guy is shocked. And after some time, believe me, with the pressure of the family in terms of, the reputation, in terms of reputation of the company, this guy moved back to his previous organization. Though there was a huge opportunity, there is a pressure, there is an ecosystem which in your family who says about us, well, what are you doing? Are you doing something good? You say, I've been doing this. Well, my people don't know about it. So, at an age of, when you're becoming a manager, when you're going up the ladder, you're becoming a general manager, you're going up the ladder, you become a vice president, your priority first changes about, you're talking about is, your first priority would be that, is there a reputation which people would respect? It's again the hierarchy of, where you're saying about is you are. The second is satisfaction with organization, people's decision, and the third is, of course, is good relationship with superior. So you're talking about is how he would think, and many a times I've seen in HR people, I've seen lots of exit forms will filled up, and people says, well, his commitment was not, at a stage, he didn't have a symbiosis or which builds up the relation with the middle management and the top management with me, knowing that I'm talented. It's not about that you can change the world, but it's all about is how you understand the world is behaving and what needs you have and how it can be molded together. And that's the time I would always say that it's always better to understand at to whom are you talking, what level are you talking, why are you talking about that, And you know, it's so many times, you know, in industries I've seen about is brilliant talents been lost. It's a loss for an organization, but it's more loss for the individual, because you know, an individual loses his opportunity, which he does not realize, and he feels as it's because of interpersonal. My boss is not good, I am leaving. But his boss is absolutely good. His thinking, both of their thinking has never matched. Their expectations were different. A boss who is at the age of 40 and a talented guy who is at 22. The thought process are different. Objectives are same. So try to map all this. Maybe you will have a better answer when you are working on the HR front. These are some top 5 drivers which in India currently people are using in career advancement, challenging work, learning and development, competitive base pay, reputation of an organization as a good employer. These are the top attraction everyone looks at. Retention drivers today is managers inspires enthusiasm for work. Great leaders will always have great talent retention. Satisfaction with organizations' business decisions, positive impact on technology and work of life balance, more related to even the IT field when you're saying, you know, people, or even pharma. I come from pharma, 23 years of pharma experience. It's a very closed field where people work in, though it's a very nice field to work in. But, you know, there, even in pharma, people say that quality of life is important. Flexibility of work is now coming in, at least in India now it's becoming a practice. Up till now, India was never, at least in pharma industry, people were not thinking about flexible timing of work or work from home. No. I don't see many companies would practice that. Now people are realizing that it's important that everyone spends more time with family, everyone spends more time on, you know, on their area of comfort. Competitive performance management, this is more related to your area of focus, how unbiased performance management can be looked at and can impact you know, the quality of work, product and services, which becomes a retention driver. And engagement policy, there are lots of things which people do, and I think the next slide would talk more on terms of the engagement and retention policy. This is a general chart talking about as what are the initiatives which are used today to retain talents, creating more flexible work environment. IT practices this quite often. Now, the other industry also looks at, financial sectors also are very, very keen on doing this. Providing employee, you know, redeploying the employee within the organization for better responsibilities. That becomes the second most important area. And then creating opportunities for employees engage in socially responsible activities. If you look this chart into the sector-wise, I would take now 5 minutes for you, which would end up my talk. You know, if you are saying about these are the sectors which you are saying about banking, you say about IT, you talk about technology, you're talking about pharmaceutical here, and these are the percentage. I can send these slides across to your organization anyway, is, you know, how these are changing. There are some novices in the industry, but most of them are still doing an activity in the first two parts, creating more flexible working environment and redeveloping or redeploying the talents across the organization. If you're saying about collaborating with networks of external specialists and attract talents, well, this is more in terms of entertainment industry, and it is also into the pharmaceutical industry. Because there are novices which are seen where people or the industry is working to change the talent, but more important is the first two where people are working very hard. What appeals to you? What appeals to the general? Okay. So what we are talking about is, it's not about monetary gain. People don't stick around with the monetary gain. People stick around because there are lots of other things which are done about to retain people. Social network are becoming more and more important and practiced. There are some companies where social network is managed by themselves so that people are getting involved and getting more into connected well with the individuals. These are some reading material you can go through in terms of what are the talent management and what works best to retain talents. A little about my company. Avasthagin is a research organization. We work in 3 areas, and it's one of the leading and only integrated system biology platform company which focuses on convergence of food, pharma, and population genetics. We work in a very, very precise PPP model. This is where we work on. It's a predictive diagnostic, prevention, and therapy. Predictive diagnostic is where we work on the molecular diagnostics, and prevention, we are talking about nutraceuticals, where we are talking about bioactives, and we are into therapy, where we are there in, yes, Avasthagin would require talents like you, and for sure, it's an area where we would be happy if we get the right people who can take the business forward and become a business leader and bring the story of Avasthagin more stronger for us. Thank you very much. I don't have much time. Dr. Singh is looking at me. Any questions? No questions?
No, we'll mail you the questions, sir. I think the
Should be fine with this. No questions is ideal where people have not understood. See, currently, what we are seeing about in my organization as well as my previous organization is, unless the clarity on the work is not there, most of the attrition or most of disengagement has happened because role clarity was not defined. The scope of work and the growth, or you can say the path of growth, were not defined, were never discussed, and never reviewed. What we do currently over here, as well as I have been practicing across, is a very strong review mechanism and a discussion which is an open discussion which happens at all levels, a 360 at 2 years. I wouldn't say 360 at a year, and a policy review every 3 years. Most of the time we have seen about I'll talk about pharma industry. Pharma industry has seen about 30% of attrition. At least my last 7 years, my attrition rate, if you are saying about the highest which has gone about, is 15%. Thank you very much.